So as I walked out of this bank manager's office, I could not contain my excitement because I just bought my first commercial property, or at least he gave me the clearance to go ahead and to buy this, and he would give me 100% bond on a commercial property. So if you're new to this channel, I'm Dreyer. I'm the founder of the Wealth Creators Method, where we help entrepreneurs and investors to create, to grow, and to protect their wealth. And one of the ways to do it is through a property. So welcome to the 7 laws of a property, where today I'm going to discuss the 6th law. And the 6th law is basically negotiate your way to freedom. You see, it was the 5th time that I was in front of that manager at the bank, trying to negotiate a deal that would benefit me. Now, initially, the banks could not see it. What made this deal different was the fact that a commercial property, the way that banks are looking at commercial property, is totally different than that of residential property. So the calculations, the 5th law, that made sense if it was a residential property, but it made no sense for a commercial property. With a commercial property, you would have to give like 40 to 60% deposit, and then the balance was a term loan over a 7-year or an 8-year to pay off that property. That means it's going to put a lot of strain on your cash flow. And that was my first commercial property that I bought, and it was my first investment property that I bought. And it was crucial to get my cash flow right. Otherwise, it would cost me money. And the moment that something starts costing you money, then the growth will come down. So with property, you're going to find always that the lower the risk, in other words, the less it costs you out of your pocket, the higher the growth is going to be. And I structured it that way. But the bank manager couldn't see that, and I could not convince him, in other words. But I kept on negotiating, and each and every time that I saw him, I tried a different approach. And on the 5th time, it worked. So this law is really important if you want to become successful in and as a property investor. But there's something that I think that you should understand and know, because all these laws work in synchronization or combination with one another. Because I did the 5th law, which is do the calculation, in other words, do not become emotionally involved, I could see the potential of this property, but only if I could get a bond over a 20-year, a normal bond at normal interest rates. Otherwise, it would not be a great deal. But it started right at the beginning. In other words, I wanted to become financially free. So that is basically the 0th law. You must know what it is that you want. Right. And then you must invest in yourself. So each and every time, although I had 4, let's call it failures, by seeing this bank manager, each and every time I've picked up something, and I started to understand what is it that the banks are looking for, and how do they look at property investors and investment as such. And for that reason, each and every time that I went back, I did not see it as a failure when I walked out and he didn't approve that bond. I saw it as another great learning experience. And I think this is what we need to understand. By investing in yourself is going to take time and effort in order to learn the tricks of the trade. Because the moment that you understand the tricks of the trade, that is when you can put a deal together and negotiate your way to freedom, which basically is the 6th law. But there's also, the income is more important than capital. And it's for that reason that I really committed to get that deal on my conditions and not on the bank's conditions. Because if the income wasn't there, in other words, if I had to start paying back a lot of capital, then the deal would simply not be possible. And then also, now that's the 2nd law. The next one, the 3rd law, is to take control. And if I let go, it means that I'm not in control. So even in that situation where I negotiated with the bank and the bank manager specifically, I was in control the whole time because I dictated what it is that I wanted, and eventually I got it. And then also I got that property from a seriously motivated seller. Now, something that I'd like to bring to you is that when you deal with a motivated seller, then it's easier to negotiate. Now, a lot of you are going to say to me, honest, but I am not good with negotiations. And by the way, negotiations is one of those skills, those high value skill sets that you need to master. But I'm going to give you a tip just now and show you how easy it actually is. At that stage, of course, I didn't know about all of this, and I did all the negotiations myself, I can almost say the hard way. So then the fifth law is not to become emotionally involved. And it's not emotionally involved in terms of just the property. It was also emotionally involved by getting all these rejections from the bank manager, not wanting to approve or not wanting to give the deal the way that I wanted and the way that I wanted to structure it. And that brought us then to the sixth law, which is negotiate your way to freedom. Now, all of these, the accumulation effect of this was that I could get that property and get my first free property. Now, what if you're new to this game? Or what if you're not a good negotiator? Then there's a way with property that you can make it very easy for yourself. You see, when you do the calculations and you go through this process by identifying the 27 variables and get the skills to offset those variables, some of that, for example, the term of the bond, the interest rate of the bond, the fact that you can get perhaps 100% bond or maybe structure 100% bond, all of that can be included in the offer to purchase. And here's where the trick comes in. So when you make the offer to purchase, you're going to bring in an addendum, which is what are the exit strategies? In other words, when can you walk out of this deal? Now, these different negotiation points, all you do is you bring that and you make it part of the exit strategy that you're going to follow. So you put it within that offer to purchase. And then suddenly, if you're working through a estate agent, it becomes his duty because now he or she has to work for their money. So all those negotiations that you want in order to make this deal work for you can be in the contract. And then you get someone that is supposed to be a professional to do the negotiations on your behalf. I really hope that if you're new to this, that you like this. But to do that, you need to understand the process. You need to understand what you can and what you can't do. You need to understand how the flow is going to work and what you can and what you can't do. And you can't let someone else tell you how to negotiate and what to put into that contract, because then you're going to break the third law, which is you need to be in control. So this is why it is so important to really invest in yourself, to understand the risk, and then on top of that, what are the skills that you need in order to make this deal proposition for you. So if this is something that you like, please give me a thumbs up. Please like this video, subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so, click that bell icon so that you'll be the first to know when I'm sending out the last part of the 7 laws of a property investor, because there are 7 laws. And so the last lesson is going to be the last law that we're going to discuss. So thanks for your time. And then I'll see you in the next episode.